for God or against God. Simple. Now, one thing that really is weird about this particular scene is that there is very little dialogue with the criminals. We don't know the crime that they committed. We don't know what they did. We don't know their life. But all we know is what they said on the cross. Now, one of the criminals, we can tell a little bit, is selfish enough, and he challenges God because he knows that his life is about to end. And I saw something in this criminal that we've seen before. I saw past failure, present frustration, and personal fear. His past failure was whatever crime he committed before he was on the cross. His present frustration is with Jesus, because Jesus is just as weak as him and has no power to get him off the cross. And his personal fear is the fear of his life ending. Now, on the other side of the cross, we have another criminal who confuses me too. He confuses me because, once again, we have no background on him. We saw Jesus, we saw him born, we saw him raised, we saw his baptism, his temptations, we saw him teaching the parables, but these criminals, we don't see that much. But I'm guessing that this criminal was a follower of Jesus, and I'll tell you why I think that. We have always categorized both of the criminals as being bad criminals, assuming that they both did things that was not right. But I think that this criminal was a follower of Jesus. Why? Because one, back then, when you really think about it, it's simple, but I didn't really see it until I got in. Back then, it was a crime to follow Jesus, right? Under Pontius Pilate and the Sanhedrin and all that stuff, it was a crime to follow Jesus. And I also thought that because as soon as he opened his mouth, he said, "Don't you fear God?" Now, when you think about two criminals, think about two friends about to go rob a bank. They're at the vault. They know the access code. They're about to get in, and one of them says, "Don't you fear God?" That really does not make sense. So I believe that this criminal was definitely a follower of Jesus. But the most important thing that he said was, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus responds and says, "I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise." Now, when I knew this a while ago, I thought that it meant today you're going to heaven. But when I really thought about that, a more accurate translation would be, today you, this criminal, you now have access to my presence, right? You have access to my presence on this day. And in that moment, that criminal had hope in that third day when Jesus would rise again and he would be with him in paradise, right? So now we go on. Other scriptures, we begin to see Jesus' desperation, right? He was weak. He was so weak that he realized he couldn't do it on his own. So he cried out, "Father, into your hand I commit my spirit," because he realized he could not do it on his own. And the only thing he had to hold on to was hope that his third day would come. All he had was that one hope that his third day would come. And really quick, can we go to Hosea chapter 6. Hosea chapter 6, back in the Old Testament. And we know that there are a lot of things in the Old Testament that prophesy all this happening. So in chapter 6, verse 2, this is Israel actually talking. It says, "After 2 days he will revive us. On the third day he will restore us, that we may live in his presence." So we see that the criminal had hope in that third day. We see Jesus had hope in the third day. And we see that these Israelites had hope in their third day. So I pose this question to you. What will your third day be like? After all the sorrow, the agony, and the hurt, what will your third day be like? We saw this morning that this woman was bound and hurt for 18 years. What will her third day be like after all that? After you have been bound year after year, what will your third day be like? Do you still have hope in that third day? Come on, just ask somebody, what will your third day be like? Will you still be in the grave on that third day, or will you rise again? Will you be restored? Will you be set free on that third day? I believe on that third day. Come on, say, I third day. I believe in my third day. God bless you.